What it do? Welcome to another new episode of Tech File.
Bow, bow,
We got a
bow.
couple things to talk about All-Star Weekend, some things going on with WWE and their programming right now. So should be a fun show. So let's get into it right after this.
Hit him hard, let's go. Red T-E-C-K, running back like where's my replay? Got it all in the mix, no DJs. Second hard in the game like Ethan miscellaneous. Spitting real talk for the entertainment. All the pots, I stand the game up and they get smacked back down like a WrestleMania. Tell them that better get they know ready at a home city. You know, get it block even on the low setting. And you know what you say, so we never gotta get telling everybody else that you get ready. Ain't nobody else doing this like I. Better keep them cameras and microphones hot, cause this one's a vibe. Gotta run this race with my tribe. Going live with the pie. Do it like there's no tomorrow. Came to my ear later. Shout out to my point guard. We about to hit him hard. Got him throwing in the tap. Tell the red blow the whistle. This is technical five.
Welcome to episode 378 of Technical File, the sports podcast you never knew you needed.
And it's your boy TIMKINZ, the number 3, aka Ass Ketchum, aka Mr. Give It To Me. I gotta keep it on the low. How y'all doing this week?
I'm the Eric J, I guess.
Only known as,
The Eric J.
not you guess, I'm Camille, point guard of the crew, the real life Tifa Lockhart, the girl next door, holding it down for all the women who love sports. Not joining us this week is Kay Harris, the gentleman,
The gentleman.
the everyday gentleman,
24/7.
better known as Mr. Ooh Yeah. He is not Ooh Yan this week. Okay, he is not here.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means either, but he ain't doing it here this week.
Yeah.
So some housekeeping before we get into the flow of things. If you are not yet already, please make sure you are following us on our various social media platforms at Technical File, TECKNICALFOUL on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Technical File Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. On the YouTube side of things, make sure you subscribe, like up the videos that you see, and join us live every Tuesday evening as we record the show. We normally check for comments, interact with folks, so come and be a part of that as well. I think that's it for the housekeeping this week. No game that needs a name this week since we are virtual. It is cold outside, y'all. It is frigid. So we are working from home this week.
And wearing Snuggies, apparently.
And apparently wearing Snuggies. Yes.
Stay warm out here.
That hoodie reminds me of like Giannis's old 3-point celebration where he would do like this and be like,
Antlers.
bro, you got it.
Yeah, that was never gonna catch on. Even though he don't shoot them, that was never not gonna be the one. All right, let's get into some NBA All-Star talk. Actually, we're gonna start with the NBA and that thing that we saw this weekend. So I'm just ask y'all first and foremost, what did you rank All-Star Weekend? Like, what did you think of the weekend, the game format changes, like just overall? How did you feel about the weekend's festivities? Why don't we start with you, Tim?
Ranking them from what, 1 to 10?
Yeah, let's go 1 to 10.
I give it about 6.5, 7.
The whole weekend, or like the whole weekend?
Yeah. I'll probably get about 6.5, 7.
Wow.
Skills
What did you
competition
want?
was cool. That was cool. But my favorites is always the 3-point contest and dunk contest in the game. So like the skills competition is what I kind of like tune into, like, oh, you know, just kind of check it out and stuff like that. Wemby and Chris Paul was funny.
One man came out cheating.
I swear I thought that was Chris Paul's idea. Then afterwards, it was like Wemby was like, no, it was my idea. And I checked with the league ahead of time. So like, I don't know why we were disqualified. And I'm like, either Chris Paul is rubbing off on Wemby, or Wemby is also like an evil basketball genius. I don't know which of the two it is.
People like praise like these like maniacal competitors, like the Kobe Mamba mentality, Michael Jordan, be like Mike. Like this is the other side of that coin where they are willing to do whatever it takes to win, even if it completely bastardizes the spirit of the competition.
And it's crazy because last year he was mad at Anthony Edwards for shooting with his left hand throughout it, like, oh, well, the mockery of the skills competition. It's like I've never heard somebody say a mockery of the skills competition. I never seen someone take it so seriously. I knew Wemby was competitive, but that was a different level. Okay.
I have never been more certain that he's gonna win a championship, though. I'll tell you that much.
That's fair. That's fair.
Bro is ridiculous. The Rising Stars or the Young Guns game, that was enjoyable because again, they hungry, they wanted, they was trying to hoop, shit like that. Like that was fun to watch. The 3-point competition,
underwhelming this year, in my opinion.
Buddy, I thought was gonna go crazy after, like it's. I was watching this shooting the 3-point contest and I was laughing because I'm like, okay, so let's just say like Tyler Hero, for example, congrats, he won the 3-point shooting contest, but he was kind of cold first round ish,
barely got in,
and he kind of got hot towards the end, just kind of snuck in there, and I was laughing because I'm like, Buddy was hot, 31 points first round, going crazy. You got to realize that you're giving bona fide sharpshooters a round of warm-ups. If he don't make it past the first round, I mean, if he happened to sneak past the first round, you just gave him one whole round of, all right, I'm calibrated again. Here we go with like certified sharpshooters.
Right.
Like that's nuts. But shooting is so streaky because then you have Buddy Hield on the other side of it, where who damn near went ice cold. He hit one shot for that first round. Not one. I was like, yeah, dang, bro. But that's shooting. And that's streaky shooters. So 3-point contest, like you said, kind of underwhelming, but that was kind of that's an interesting thought. Dunk contest, it was the McClung show. Castle made a guest appearance.
And at the final round. Let me say real quick with the Mac dunk, when I saw the Kia come out, I said, are you really going to dunk over the car? Or are you going to do what Blake Griffin did when he jumped over the hood? Like, I'd say that as somebody who can't dunk at all. So like me judging like, you didn't even really dunk over no car. Like I know how that sounds, but y'all know what I mean. Blake Griffin dunked over the hood. Mac jumped over the highest elevation point of the vehicle with somebody hanging out the sunroof.
With a body out of there.
I said, that's your first dunk? What are we doing after this?
Like he just kept nitpicking, but he definitely be pushing off like,
oh, that once he catch it.
Hey,
I was looking at that. I was like,
I'm not even mad at it.
I was gonna say I'm not mad at it. I'm just saying
that helps with safe landing. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me get that.
There's a reason why all his dunks are like snatching the ball off of somebody that's just standing there. Like
he knows what works for him.
Mm-hmm. Hey, the minute I grab that motherfucker, push.
And on top of that, some people were saying he used too many props throughout his dunks, and I was like, let's keep in mind too, this is his 3rd year in a row doing this. Like the first year he did it, he didn't have many props at all. He was just dunking. He's not only competing against the field at this point, he's competing against what he did the last 2 years. So like it made sense to me that he came out like, I just got to do some stuff this year.
First joint, I got to kick the doorway in by jumping over a fucking car. And then I'm gonna jump over somebody and kiss the rim with the ball and then dunk it.
Hey, that one was cold when he booped the rim and then went up.
The one was cold was when he caught it off again, caught the ball, went up, and then turned around last second. That shit was cold.
I thought you were going to reverse him. Oh, okay.
Also, like, it'll be a common theme, like, when we get to my part, but it's like the announcers just leave so much to be desired, because it's like, he brings out Evan Mobley, like, well, he got Wemby right there, Wemby 7'5". He is dunking against Wemby's teammate. Why would he help him?
Tell Steven to come out here with that big motherfucker.
Like, bro, like, no, Wemby's not going to be a prop.
Great point.
With the dude that's going against the teammate.
Yeah, that's
great
true.
Point.
I appreciate Giannis, cheering on Ajax for every dunk. Hey, Ajax played it safe. He was like, hey, listen, I'm gonna make sure I get this motherfucker here. I'm gonna make sure that I just make sure it's in there. I thought that he would do something to kind of put a stamp on how like his athleticism and his vertical.
Should have.
Like just a bounce in front of the rim, catch that motherfucker at your highest jump and come down with a spike. It would be cold. Like I was like, oh, he played it safe.
The dunk coach was fucking him up with some of them passes.
Ironically enough, looking at Bucks in the dunk contest, which we can talk a little bit more. Yeah, if you're not watching the video version, everyone started shaking their head no immediately. Like the best Buck that we've had in recent memory in the dunk contest was Pat Connaughton. How crazy is that?
Joe Alexander was supposed to be that dude, wasn't he?
That's where you start.
I mean, we talking about Bucks in the dunk contest. Joe Alexander had the hype tape. He was jumping over shit.
You have to go that far back, fam.
we were like, oh shit, Joe finna be jumping out the gym and that
have to go that far back.
Womp womp. Then we had Giannis out there running around and shit.
Young Giannis, and that didn't work.
Again, this is why we were shaking our heads. Like, nah, it ain't worked out. No, it just ain't worked out.
Real quick, while we're on the dunk contest, no, actually, I'll wait. Continue through all the weekend. We can wait.
And then the last thing, so dunk contest was the McClung show, but other than that, it was cool. All-Star Day. The first two games I enjoyed because they was like hooping and shit. But in the last game, as you made the last game just it seemed like early on they was like, we good. Fuck it. It was only 11-1, 11-0. It's to 40. I just felt like after that point, they was like, fuck it. They already up like that. We just gonna let them have it. And they just kind of airmailed the last one in. But
I was gonna say I pushed back on that a little bit. I think it's because they wanted to honor the TNT crew in the middle of the game. And then they had to sit there for 15 minutes.
I was like, damn, it's only been 10 points.
And then we took a break, like a 15-minute break. You can't take breaks like that. And like these guys ain't warm no more. What are we doing?
Kevin Hart did the Rock special. Like, hey, wrap it up, B. Kev, I think Kev ran over his time a couple times.
Everybody ran over their time a couple of times. The pacing of the All-Star game was terrible. I think the format was actually an improvement. Like the actual ball that we got to see was good. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't enough of it. And then the breaks were too long in between time.
It feels like they didn't trust their work like ahead of time. Like it felt like they put all these things into it because they were afraid that the new format wasn't going to work. So therefore they needed other things to kind of keep people entertained. And it's like, we're here to watch basketball. Like all the other stuff is kind of like it should be garnish. It shouldn't be like a side dish. It definitely shouldn't be the main entree. Like it should be like the parsley sprinkled around like what is the hoop. But it feels like they didn't trust that the games would be entertaining in themselves. And they also didn't set the score, I think, high enough to where the basketball wouldn't take, like we only got 30 minutes of actual basketball.
42 if you include like stoppage of plays and free throws and things like that, but like of actual ball, about 33 minutes.
In 3 hours?
Yes.
So like with 3-pointers and all that other stuff, it's like you kind of got to set the target score a little bit higher than 40 points, at least for the championship. So they didn't do enough to like highlight the basketball, and therefore they had to pad the time with Kevin Hart and TNT crew and Mr. Beast and the
Mr. Beast one was fun.
Like all the things like
Mr. Beast.
Fuck Mr.
That
Beast.
felt like that felt like an end game arena thing that you would normally see, but they upped the ante by having an actual NBA player in it alongside the person you pull out the crowd. Like, and that was only like 5 minutes. Like that was cool. Like if you want to have a little break in between the different games, that's cool. Even the little halftime, quote unquote, performance from all like the Bay Area folks, which shout out to Invo, that y'all made my day. That was only like 6 minutes. Like the TNT part where they were giving them all the gifts, that was longer than the Mr. B segment.
That's post game. That should be post game.
It really should. And that was my problem with it. Like when I'm ranking the All-Star weekend, the game tanked it a lot because like the potential was there. Y'all just did not execute it properly. So like for me, I'd probably say the weekend was like a 4 maybe, because like Mac had some interesting dunks that had me like interested. And then the final round with Castle was cool. Chris Paul and Wemby getting disqualified made the skills competition enjoyable to us. So you're like, man, I ain't never seen this before. 3-point contest was meh. Dame was on the bench yawning, and that summed up the contest. That's a perfect summary of the 3-point contest this year, especially after last year where you had the Steph and Sabrina Ionescu like battle, like they couldn't figure something out this year. And then the game, as I mentioned, I didn't like the pacing and everything like that. So like they took a step forward in a certain way, but also took some steps back.
So sorry, I said fuck Mr. Beast like specifically. Like I was fine with the competition. That was cool. The guy won money. I love that. But like there was a time where the kid was shooting and he like yelled as the kid was shooting. I'm like, are you actively like trying to make him miss? Because that's not cool. Yeah. And like even Dame was like, dude, get the fuck out the way. Like
Dame definitely told dude like calm down. Like buddy's trying to do this.
Yeah. So that was my problem. Also, like while I'm just bitching about things, Draymond Green. Like we gotta stop. Like how do I want to say this? I don't think having an active player up there is beneficial to anyone. Like it's not entertaining, and he's just allowed to kind of like air his grievances pretty much unopposed. Like he just like the bitching about the Rising Stars things. It's like they didn't earn their stripes like to be playing on Sunday night, and it's like you guys don't take playing Sunday night seriously, which is why they're here in the first place. So it's like if you actually made it, if you honored the All-Star game the way that you claim that it should be honored, then maybe they wouldn't feel the need to bring in guys to make you guys play harder.
Thank you. And that's the piece of it that I felt like Draymond continuously missed of like, I don't know what people act like Adam Silver just decided to mess with things and change it for no reason. Like he changed it because y'all haven't been playing. Like the score was like 211 to 185 last year. Like, and this was after they had legends in the locker room, like Larry Bird and Big O and people like, we need y'all to compete. Then they went and dropped 200 points.
Yeah. And apparently had the same conversation this year. So like what are the reason why I thought that it would work from a competitive standpoint and why I was rooting for the Rising Stars to actually beat the OGs in that game is because like there's one thing now that you can kind of motivate NBA players with, and that's their ego. And it's like they're not going to be embarrassed on the biggest stage by guys that they think are beneath them. So they're going to play. There was one certainty of that entire weekend, which was the OGs are going to play hard against the Rising Stars because there's no way they're going to lose.
Yep.
You start giving that confidence, and them young motherfuckers gonna run your ass out the.
That's a fact.
Yeah, they play with their foot almost a little too much, but like at the end of the day, like I knew that they were gonna put the hammer down, like when they needed to, because like they're never gonna live that down if they lose it. So yeah, like that one component to me was like the strongest. Like that was the best thing that they did implementing this new format is like putting people in that don't necessarily deserve it. Because like if you like people were saying like, oh, you guys need to bring in like the snub team. It's like then we're just naming 24 all-stars. Like or 24 plus another 8, so 32 all-stars. Like that's all it is. Like I don't know, like which fair. Like it's been stuck at 12 on each side for a long time, even when there were bunch of less teams. So like if you do want to expand the all-star teams to have more all-stars, that's fine, but like I don't have an issue with the Rising Stars being there, and especially like with Draymond's arguments being that they didn't earn their way to be there.
Yeah, and to that point, the only other thing from the game that I was like that's kind of weak was LeBron coming out like an hour before the game of like, yeah, I'm not going to hoop. I woke up today and my foot still wasn't where I was hoping it could be for me to compete. And it's like, brother, if you were going to be focusing on the Lakers coming out of All-Star break, you probably knew it wasn't going to be a strong probability for you to play if that was the mentality that you were taking into the weekend. Like you could have dropped out so someone else could have gotten that spot, been able to play, especially with the rosters being smaller for this particular little combination here or combo tournament that they have going on. So it's like, go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna ask, did we ever get word on like what Anthony Edwards' issue was? Because I feel like he
ain't playing at all.
At first it said sick, then I kept seeing groin.
So he hungover. Is that what we're gonna?
Young dude skipping on the All-Star game. That's
interesting.
It's different. It's different.
I mean, he is very actively rejecting face of the league status, like which is.
Don't make me no role model.
he really is that Charles Barkley ad of like, I ain't no role model. I don't know if y'all started Court of Gold yet on Netflix about the Olympic games this summer with follow USA, France. Okay, so first episode, there's a scene where Barack Obama is like mingling with Team USA. They're like at some bar. And Anthony Edwards is talking to Obama like that's his nigga from down the street. Like he's sitting there like I kid you not. Like he's sitting there like just in his like because Obama's talking to Joel Embiid and Ant's walking by and Obama's like, hey, this kid's pretty good. And Embiid's like, he's all right. And then Ant's like, what? That's crazy. You know I'm the truth? And Obama was like, you're the truth. And he was like, you heard me, man. I said I'm the truth. I don't know what y'all over here talking about. Like, why not? Like he just started just in his own world. I'm like, Ant is always Ant, no matter where he at. Like 100% Anthony Edwards.
Yeah, no, that brother don't know how to code switch. He don't know the meaning of the word code switch.
No.
Does he finish in Minnesota? I know it's weird, kind of early to speculate, but
shoot, if Luka get traded, anyone can get traded.
I was gonna say with the Luka trade and the CBA stuff, like we might just see superstars moved more regularly.
Yeah, because
I mean that was already the trend.
Yeah, it feels like this CBA is going to force more superstars to be spread out because of how many teams are going to be willing to pay that max dollar amount. So
I think we talked about it last week where it's like it's untenable to have 35% of your cap locked up if you're not sure that dude is worth more than 30. You know, like you got to have like excess value to lock that up, and you definitely can't have two. So it's just you got to be sure about your guy. It can't just be like, well, he's our best player and he's 24, so therefore we have to max him. It's kind of like, no, you actually have to actively make that decision now.
Mm-hmm.
So like we were kind of touching on it, but like my NBA thing of the week is kind of like what fixes would you make to All-Star Weekend in totality? I guess like it seems like every year we go through this same exercise where it happens, people have these expectations, they're let down, and then we talk about how the All-Star game just sucks. And it's like, let's be proactive here. I've been kind of pushing back on things on Twitter a little bit, and just in my conversations with people where it's like, I think part of the problem is expectations in general, where it's like, nostalgia is a very powerful thing. And like you remember these All-Star games and these dunk contests of your youth, and you just have like these like, oh my God, you know, Vince Carter threw it off the backboard and again, Vince Carter put his arm in the rim and T-Mac was doing this and like we got to see Allen Iverson and Jordan was locking up and blah blah blah. It's like really if you go back and watch, like you got like 3.5 quarters of pretty much what we get now, and then if the game was close, like people would lock in and then we would get like a competitive into the game. So it wasn't always just like these games that were just knock down, drag out competition at the highest level. Like there's always been kind of an element, like they've taken it to its max now. So I'm not discrediting on that, but there's always been kind of this element of we just here to kind of put on a show and not get hurt, essentially. But again, like I want to be proactive. So like, what can we do to fix whatever you think is wrong with All-Star Weekend?
So I think before we even talk about like throw some ideas out there, I think the first thing that has to be said is that Giannis said it beautifully. And he was like, these are all grown men and they just got to want to do it. And that's what it all really boils down to. When you're talking about the competitive levels of the game and whatnot, like I thought Wemby came into the game with a great energy. He said he wasn't here to make friends. He was here to try to hoop. He did his whole normal pregame routine. And Giannis even mentioned like All-Star. I don't go out. I treat the day of the All-Star game like a regular game day of me getting ready for the game. So when you have guys out there like that, they automatically help raise that level. So it's on the players to a certain degree of like, you just got to want to hoop. And if the current structure doesn't incentivize them to want to do that, is there an incentive that's big enough to make them do it? Because pride alone ain't doing it. Is there more money? Can you make the prize bigger? We see them go crazy for the $500,000 for the NBA Cup.
Money will move them a little bit.
Right. Do you up the financial reward of the game? Go back to East versus West and just say every member on the winning team gets $1 million. Now, fans might not like that of like, why do they have to get paid more to do this? But like, You got to pick something because these players are so focused on after All-Star break. We have less than 30 games to go. This is not the half point of the season. It's really like 2/3 of the way in, a little bit under, but roughly. So it's like, that's what they're focused on. And Kevin Durant had a tweet where he was being somewhat facetious, but saying like, we should just cancel it because we don't care anyways about it based on how y'all talking about it. So like, why don't we just focus on what we need to focus on? And I think there's some truth to that. Because I think another part that needs to be fixed is what we touched on earlier, and that's the commentary around the game. You got to have people upping your product on a TV. Like, there's room for criticism for sure, but you have to also have appreciation for what you're seeing and the ability to make the crowd feel like what you're watching is important or exciting or big. Like watching an All-Star game and they're talking about Bol and he's not part of this, and you're like, well, Bol can't do that. And it's like, why do we have to put another player down who's not even here to try to up what this other player is doing right now? Like, that shouldn't have to be the case. And I think those two bigger pieces of All-Star Weekend are the problem outside of any format changes that you can make to the game itself.
As far as fixing it, honestly, they've been trying so much outside of actually offering them a little bit more money. That want to do is some serious, boy, because it's been years of slowly getting to where we are now. And each year, even though Adam Silver, like, they're restructuring things, they're bringing up the tournament format, they're trying to do the in-season tournament, they're trying to do things to just keep the game itself entertaining or keep fans interested. If the players really don't feel like doing the shit, like, it's never gonna be interesting. Like it won't be interesting at all. There's no amount of props and things that you can do will show, like you said, somebody on the bench yawning in the middle of the 3-point contest, or hell, even people doing the skills competition. You kind of be like, I'm gonna just kind of go through these motions here. Here's the. Unless it's close, then oh shit, I'm about to win. Hold on, let me get the motherfucking So it's all about want. Like, it really comes down to, do the players want to entertain you during this time period or not? It kind of, that really. And outside of, like you said, I seen some players are talking about like, we'll get to the ideas portion of it, but no, I think it just really comes down to the want for the player. Same thing with the NFL.
Like if you have an idea that you think is a good one, to fix it.
Well, I mean, shit, the players was asked by, I think, Rachel Nichols, but if they would be cool with the one-on-one tournament format, kind of like the WNBA just did for Unrivaled, which a lot of them said, cool. To Eric's point, ego. It's more so like,
I only believe like half of them that said they would be cool with it.
It'd be like the dunk contest all over again.
That's like when LeBron said he entered in the dunk contest. Like, it's easy to say something when it's not on the table, and when you got a whole year before you got to put your money where your mouth at.
Man, like, and do you think stars entering back into it helps All-Star Weekend? Because I think that's another piece of it. Like with the dunk contest, everyone's arguing like, well, the dunk contest ain't the dunk contest because they don't have any stars in it at this point. Like, some people were even saying like Mac McClung's not even an NBA player, and it's like, okay, calm down. Like, he's G League, yes. Technically, he's an NBA player.
Yeah,
and also, let's not forget the fact that the only reason he was in the dunk contest 3 years ago is because they couldn't fill it with enough active roster guaranteed guys who wanted to do it. And then he won it. So, of course, he came back to defend it. Then he won it again. So he was like, well, let me try to set history to be one of the first people to ever three-peat a dunk contest. Like, that's not his fault. It's, again, the player's fault for not wanting to do it. And every year afterwards, you hear the athletes, I'm going to do it next year. LeBron was infamous for teasing dunk contests. And let me tell you
something.
I don't want to hear none of y'all talk about LeBron doing a dunk contest next year. LeBron should have did it 10 years ago. 20 years ago. 10 years ago was like the most generous time frame I'm going to give you. I don't want to see 41-year-old LeBron in a dunk contest. I don't. You had your chance 10 and 20 and 15 years ago, sir. It's not the time. It's not the time. We'll see if Josh sticks to what he said. He tagging Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine, and Aaron Gordon is like, I got a few more, and Zach LaVine's like, hey, I might be ready to go. It's like, brothers, y'all was in it 10 years ago yourself.
Like they're in their early 30s now. Like at that time, well, so like they call it the Rising Stars dunk contest, and it's like you can't even get rising stars to do it. Like it's rising role players and two-way guys. Like it. If you're not gonna do it properly, like don't do it at all. And like there is precedent for it. Like they canceled it in '98. Yeah, 98.
Shout out Shaolin. We see you in the comments, brother.
Like they've canceled it before. Like so, this isn't a new conversation. Like they've always had trouble, and like every once in a while, you get Vince in Golden State, or you get the dunk off in Toronto, and it's like that kind of satiates people for a couple of years. Like, oh, the dunk contest is back. It's like, no, the dunk contest is hit or miss, and usually it's much more miss than hit because there's only so many permutations that the human body can do, and you know, like there are only so many dunks, and like the creativity comes from like the showmanship and the props, and you know, like actually making your dunks on the first try. So this is what the dunk contest is. Like, I don't think there's any fixing it beyond putting more guys in that people actually care to watch and have heard of before. But like it is what it is. Like I've advocated for the last couple of years. It's like I think you need to switch it. Like the stars are in the 3-point contest. That's your main event. Yeah. And kind of lean into it. And like everybody loves shooting threes. So like it's not like, I mean, apparently Steph is now retired from it, but
Dame also retired after this year's events.
Oh, he said that?
Yeah, he's in the locker room. He's like, "This is it. I'm done with the 3-point contest. I've retired."
Well, yeah, but I mean, like you have so many other guys that just love shooting threes. Like you can't get Anthony Edwards to do a dunk contest, but I bet you'll have him in 3-point.
What a world!
Yeah. So it I don't know, like that's my fix, I guess, for Saturday night. Like I'm fine with the competitions that they have now. Maybe de-emphasize the dunk contest a little bit, and like if you can get stars in it, sure, bring it back to the main event. But if it's gonna be what it has been the last couple of years, then like that is totally fine as, you know, the
leading competition for the night.
That's the mid card. That's the IC for the Saturday night. I didn't even watch Friday night this year, so no notes.
I had the celebrity game on initially, but then I realized Unrivaled was on with their 1v1 tournament. So I turned the celebrity game off to watch the finals of Unrivaled, which that 1v1 tournament was outstanding. Outstanding.
Actually, I wonder if that's something that you can do. Like, obviously it's not WNBA, so like they aren't necessarily affiliated, but I do wonder if you can implement, like if you can integrate the women more into it. Like they used to do it with like the Shooting Stars competition where you have like one legend, one current player, one WNBA player. But like maybe bring in like more of the world of basketball into Saturday, you know, Friday, Saturday night. And not just have it be like Steph versus Sabrina, but like actually, you know, the finals of the 1v1 or quarterfinals or whatever. Like bring more into it, or bring in college players now that, you know, well, I mean, I guess in the middle of the season, so maybe not. But you like if the dunk contest isn't like for rising stars, like bring in like the best dunkers from around the world and like actually have like a proper dunk contest.
That was my argument for years.
Yeah.
I don't think people want to see that.
More creative. Like
you keep saying that, but I think they do. Like if you gonna complain about not seeing the stars, and it's gonna be the young stars, and even the stars that's in there, they suck at it. And you're applauding McClung, then seeing 4 McClungs go crazy is more entertaining than seeing a bunch of stars half-ass it.
We're applauding McClung. There are a lot of people who weren't applauding him because he's a G League dude, and they're like, he doesn't have any right to be there, and that's why people ain't watching it because don't nobody know who he is.
Reframe the conversation. Like that again. Like I hate complimenting the NFL on anything, especially after the shit that they did with the Super Bowl and certain guests. But like they're really good about like, if there's something that's negative, reframe it, cheerlead it, and, you know, make it the greatest thing ever. Like, I could care less about the Pro Bowl game, but like they took a thing that people were complaining about, changed it, put a fresh coat of paint on it, and like now I've made it a thing where it's like a bunch of different events, and it's like pick your pleasure. Like, what do you want to see? Do you want to see tug of war? Do you want to see the flag football? Do you want to see the catching competition? Do you want to see the throwing competition? Like you've reframed like what it is. So like now you're talking about a new thing that's new and exciting and may have some legs, versus trotting out the same old thing with diminishing results.
That's fair. That's fair. Do you guys think that the Team USA versus World format for the All-Star game would be something that helps to naturally inspire a bit more confidence, and not even necessarily for the USA born players, but the international guys? Like, we've heard Wemby say it, we've heard Giannis say it. Like, I would want USA versus World. I'd compete even harder, and those two are two guys who already come pretty hard. Pause. Whoa. 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 All right.
So like, to answer your question, like, I've thought about it, but it's just hard because there are only 24 slots. Like, it's hard to get an even mix. Like, even this year, like, we had Team World, but it still had Donovan Mitchell on it because you didn't have enough international guys. I mean, yeah, we didn't have enough international guys to really fill out a full team. And like, that's only from like kind of the luck of the draw of this year's All-Stars. Like, I think it's a little bit more feasible when you have like multiple teams that you can kind of play with a little bit. But like, what if there's a year when, you know, Giannis tweaks his groin again, Jokic gets the flu, and, you know,
then you're short.
Shea is, you know, having a down year.
Shea just too cool for that shit.
You have like six world competitors. Like, you can't always guarantee like that even.
I can see that, but I mean, if the showcase is to show that it's beyond just them three, like the world is getting better versus the United States, that we have enough in this pool that we're confident that we can still put on a competition without them three.
Well, like, I guess then, is it that you take the 12 best players from the USA and the 12 best players from international?
I think you would have to change the way you vote for All-Star if that's the route that you would take.
But then is that fair for the USA players, where it's more of them competing for
less spots than it is international players? Yeah, that would be the case, but I don't know. I think it has some legs to it, but to your point about logistics of getting how you would pull it off, and do you really then have the best 24 players in the NBA playing at that time? I don't know, but I get why everybody's saying it, especially after NHL said we're going to get rid of our All-Star game. We're going to do 4 nations games. I kept saying, like, what is 4 nations? Why is everybody talking about 4 nations? And I looked and I was like, oh. Then I saw the fights in the first minute and a half, and I was like, oh.
We finna beat y'all ass real quick. Been waiting to see y'all.
I can see why everybody's thinking that, but yeah, All-Star weekend. I don't know. Maybe we've come to a point too where, given the media and how easy it is to see athletes now in different markets, the All-Star game just has run its course a little bit. But I'm somebody who watches it every year regardless, so I'm still locked in.
That's fair. That is fair. Well, now that the All-Star game. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I also, like, you guys' main point was that you gotta get the players to care, and they have to want to care on their own. It's like, I don't think going like 70-75% is too much to ask. Like, so it is incumbent upon the players to kind of make this thing work.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past, like, you've been able to incentivize, you know, guys in the 70s, 80s, 90s because they weren't making as much money, and it was in the best interest of the league to kind of push this thing forward. Whereas, like, now they're pretty secure in, like, we know what we have. We're getting $50 million a year contracts. You know, the motivation still there, it isn't there. So they need to take it upon themselves, and if, you know, the people that came before them can't get them to care, if the money that they get doesn't get to care, the accolade of being an all-star and just the personal pride can't get them to care, nothing is going to. So, like, it starts and ends with that. And, like, we can do all the tweaks that we can around the periphery, but, like, the main issue is the players got to want to do it.
Agreed. So maybe it's as simple as Adam Silver returning back to East versus West and make it $1 million to every person on the winning team. Losing team gets not even $500,000. They can get 250 because you lost. make the gap big. Or maybe it's just that simple. Like up the ante there, and you get the competition that you want, because it's not going to happen naturally. You're going to have to foster it somehow.
Or just channel your inner David Stern and instill the fear of God into these dudes and make them do it.
Like for him to go that route.
Yeah, I think it's
substitute teacher energy.
Yeah,
I do feel like it's kind of sad though, because it's only a couple years ago when they did the draft, because it was always East versus West, and it was like, oh, we finally get to see cats like really play together that we want to, whether they East or West. To the point now, it's like, just put that shit back, fam.
They're trying, because we've seen all the things that they've tried to help make it more competitive still haven't worked. So it's like, if it's still not going to work, go back to what it was before then. Or I do think the new tournament idea has some legs to it, but they have to tweak presentation as well as target score, and then maybe who that fourth team is that's involved with it. Like maybe instead of it being 24 all-stars, it's, I don't know, or maybe it still is 24 and each team is 6. I don't know the way you would split it, but like I think there's something that could be there. But otherwise, back to East West, make it a bigger pot.
Well, since all the fun and games are behind us now, what are your expectations post All-Star break of the Bucks?
I'm not just saying this, but I'm actually very excited to see what this team looks like after the break, because we haven't seen this new look Bucks team yet since the trade deadline, since Giannis has been out over that time frame. One, I just want to see Giannis play basketball. Like watching Giannis play basketball is enjoyable. Can't wait to get back to that. But also just seeing how these new pieces fit. Like, is John Horst going to be proved right with what he was thinking of? Like, this is actually going to be the most effective way to build around this team going forward. It's not having a big three. It's having a big duo, and then having guys around them that can play more versatile styles depending upon the matchups. I don't know if that's going to prove to be effective, because we still have seen that Kuzma's shooting is inconsistent at best from deep. Like, he got the little running hook floater jump thing that he be doing. He catches that at a higher rate than I would expect, because it looks like
he's just throwing that motherfucker.
Like shit.
For real. But he knocks it down at a high rate. So like I'm just my first hope, I'm just interested and excited to see them play. But schedule is going to be really, really, really tough for the Bucks out of the break. And they have, I think, 29 games down the stretch here. So they have a lot of games over this last part of the season. So it's going to be a race to see if they can stay healthy down the stretch while they figure out their new chemistry as this duo team with Kyle Kuzma playing that supporting role and finding the right lineups to go with that. Because I don't think Andre Jackson Jr. should continue to be a starter if Kuz is the starting three as well.
No, it's curtains for that. On your point about the schedule, like I know that when they had to postpone that game against the
Pelicans,
like it was tough trying to fit in a game because like they had very few slots where like they had two rest days in a row. Like they had to move around, I think like 2 or 3 other games just to kind of fit that in, and that kind of speaks to like what they have coming up. They're still an old team. Giannis is coming off of an injury. They're trying to integrate new pieces and apparently like change kind of their style of play on the fly to a degree. So my expectations are not very high. The hope is that they kind of get things figured out by late March, early April, even if it's not necessarily resulting in a strong win-loss record, as long as they stay out of the play-in. And are playing their best ball heading into the playoffs. Like I think that they have a shot against anyone in the East. I still don't think that they match up well against the Knicks. Like I think that's actually their worst matchup.
That's gonna be the Jericho Sims series, Eric.
Apparently, like I think that's the one team that I'm kind of like I don't like the matchup, but everybody else, like even if they're a lower seed, I'm like they can hang with them.
Yeah. And real quick on the strength of schedule point, the Bucks have these, according to Tankathon, the Bucks have the 7th most difficult schedule down the stretch here. And and in the Eastern Conference alone, they have the toughest remaining schedule in the Eastern Conference. The 6 teams ahead of them of just overall toughest schedule are all in the West. And that's Phoenix, Sacramento, Denver, Memphis, and then both LA teams before you get to the Bucks. So toughest schedule in the East for the remaining 29 games that they have. They still have to play the Thunder again, the Cavs again, the Knicks again, the Nuggets twice, the Rockets, and the Lakers twice as well.
I hope that they stay roughly around the 4-5 range. Like
ideally.
Kind of around there, you kind of your best chance to avoid one of the monsters at the top. First round, kind of get your feet wet. Giannis ain't been in the playoffs in a minute. Hopefully, he can stay healthy enough to get there. That way, he can go ahead and shake some of that playoff rust off. We ain't seen him in 2 years, so I want them to be in a position to where, because we're going to have some chemistry, like you said, chemistry building. One without Chris, 2 with Kuzma. Those 2 different battles.
And apparently it's looking like Kevin Porter Jr. might be somebody who's finding his way into the rotation as well.
Yeah, he we needed a backup center, point guard, and
gross. Sorry.
I know but he looked like he might be on the floor.
No, I agree. Like he like on the floor. Like Ryan Rollins, like his stance got smaller and smaller, like in that last game before the break, to the point where he didn't even come back in at the end. So like I see where it's going. It's gross. And like I found myself like rooting for the Bucks to win, but like every time he was on the court, I'm like, knock him down. Like like I need a hard pick. Like I need like knock him on his ass. Like I can't bring myself to root for that man. But I rooted for the Packers and against Aaron Rodgers for a couple years, so I'm kind of used to it.
Yeah, that's fair. But yeah, I just want them to be around that range, kind of get the bearings together, and come playoff time, as long as we got 34, like
Facts.
We in there.
Facts.
With anybody. So I just want him to get there and be healthy. That's it.
That's him and Dame. I need them to healthy, get into the play. Like, and people think I'm crazy. Like I saw some comments on Locked On Bucks like, oh, the Bucks title window is closed. Like, so, and I'm like, as long as 34 is on this team, the window is open. He by himself is holding it open. And we're gonna see if someone can come alongside him and help push it up. But like, as long as Giannis is on this team, like in any series in the East, he's going to be the best player on the court. He's the best player in the Eastern Conference. There is no one touching Giannis. And Dame has been hooping like a top point guard in the conference himself. And the 2 of them together have been one of the best duos, which after processing my Chris Middleton feelings of losing him this season, in which, let me also add, I said it before, go Wizards. Okay. I'm watching Wizards games, y'all. I'm locked in as long as 32 is there, which sounds so weird. That's such a weird number. Letting that go. But really thinking about it and play style and everything like that, like, I still think Chris Middleton can give you a bit more than Kyle Kuzma can at this point, even with him having the bad ankles. But I do think Kuz gives you a little bit more versatility to play differently than what Chris could do, in large part because of his health and just where he is on that standard. You do lose some of the playmaking, the shot creation that he's able, and just the efficiency when it comes from shooting and the threat that he is from 3. And my worry come playoff time is that teams are going to treat Kyle Kuzma the way the Bucks treated Grant Williams a few years ago, of like, we just gonna leave you out here, and if you make them, and we'll live with it. But we are not gonna play no defense. Like, we are leaving you out here on the island. So then it's like that chess match aspect of it, of like, can Doc scheme it up in a way where if teams do treat Kuzma like that, how do you come, like, what do you do around that? Because that's what teams currently do to Andre Jackson Jr. They just leave him. And it shrinks the floor, and it then doesn't give Giannis and Dame as much space to work with because guys are cheating off so much, and they're the help defenders. So it's going to be an interesting chess match, I think, down the stretch. And I'm looking to see how Doc plays it. Like, if Doc keeps Ajax in the starting lineup next to Kuz and Giannis and Brooke and Dame, I'm going to have some questions.
Yeah. No, I agree. There was something that you brought up that I am completely blanking on that. Fudge. It's like right outside of like my consciousness. Y'all keep going. Sorry.
I'm glad that you kind of agreed to an extent with, and you being Camille, with kind of my reiteration of how I see Kuzma.
Yeah, like even hearing Horace talk about like the why, and it's like I understand the initial, like, why would you do this? When he explained his why, I'm like, I get it. I just don't see the things on paper that show you that he can efficiently do all of the things that you're hoping for him to do. So at this point, again, a lot of hope, a lot of hope that he can really reach his full potential in a Milwaukee Bucks uniform and play in a way that we haven't seen him do consistently at any point in his career, with him being 29 years old.
I remember now. It's the reliability part of it. Like, I think that it sounds weird, but I actually think that Kuzma's floor might be higher than Chris's, because you can at least reliably expect Kuzma to be on the court. It's like there's a lot of in and out with Chris. There's minutes restrictions. Like, you just can't count. They reached the point where they just couldn't count on Chris anymore, which sucks as a fan and sucks for like their top end talent. But at the same time, it's like there may be something where it's like, I would much rather have 100% of Kuzma than 65% of Chris.
Yeah.
Like, I used to like. People used to hate it when like Bud would play Ersan Ilyasova all these minutes, and I'm like, no, he's not gonna give you 20 and 10, but like there's something to be said for people that know where they're supposed to be, that can kind of keep the offense moving. That if like maybe they're standing in the corner, and if they sag off of them, they'll either take the open three, or they can actually do something with the ball, get into the hoop, get it to the next guy, hit the skip pass, like do things that don't necessarily show up on a stat sheet that lead to a more well-oiled machine. And if it's like you sometimes have Chris for that, but like then the defense and all the other things that kind of come along with it, it's like I can understand like that. My issue, and I think Camilla, you were saying the same thing, is kind of like I don't know if necessarily Kuzma is that player to do those things. But like, there's something to be said to actually having a warm body in that spot that can do the things that you need to do, that has some size and some versatility. So he's on our team now. So
want the best for him. Need him to ball out.
Congratulations on your engagement.
Yeah, facts. Over the All-Star break. And the dang, I just had my point and left my mind so quickly. And it's about Kuzma on his fit. I don't know. I lost it.
Oh, about Bobby Portis and them talking about how they know where to dress in Milwaukee?
What? No, it was not.
Not his outfit. His fit with the team.
About his fit, on the team. But I completely forgot it. So
I have something to that though. That's what I was
about the outfit or the fit? No,
the fit for the team.
Okay.
This team is probably the most actual like shooters he's been around. I feel like. In his like Kuzma, like for his career, like the team, like the amount of actual shooters on the team. Because you think about his numbers and his shooting and his threes and shit like that. And I'm trying to I was thinking about the teams. I'm like, well, on that Lakers squad, they really wasn't like a 3-point threat like that. I know that he go to Washington, all that he got a bunch of it's the island of lost toys like Brooklyn. I was like, but I wonder if this is probably the best shooting team that he's been with. They can probably help him out with his shooting to improve his shooting, since he's around a bunch of better shooters.
That sounds good.
That's what I say. I wonder. That's why I'm curious if that kind of helps with the change of scenery thing.
The Lakers team that won the championship, it was the perfect construction around LeBron.
I mean, like they did have Rondo.
Again, it sounds good, but like that, Eric, I see you.
Yeah, y'all breaking up for me too.
Yeah, like Rondo was there, but I don't know, man.
But AD
don't know. That's the hope.
AD
he did. Like that was the peak year of shooting. Like that was the format. Like put shooters around LeBron, and it's gonna work out. And to your point, AD had himself quite a year that year shooting from three.
This isn't really breaking news, but it's breaking. So apparently, Shea is gonna be his own agent now.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah, according to Chris Hayes, Oklahoma Thunder superstar MVP frontrunner Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has parted ways with his representation to make the bold move of serving as his own agent.
Don't let that man win MVP too. He will be in the meetings just looking at him. Shit, you gonna sign a contract? Why? Like, oh my, hey, kudos to you and best of luck.
At one point, Jaylen Brown was his own agent, but I don't know if he's still doing that.
It was Lamar too. At one point, I don't know if his mom was still there or not, but like, wasn't Lamar kind of his own agent for a minute?
I thought it was his mom.
Yeah, that's what I know. His mom was there for a second. I don't know if it was before or after he tried to do it himself or whatever.
Okay. Well, he ain't the first guy to represent himself, but hopefully it goes better than some other guys who have in the past. Any other Bucks thoughts after the break as we wrap up the NBA section here?
Nope.
All right.
Sorry, am I still like laggy or I'm good?
I think you're good. If you want to say something real quick after I stop speaking before I head to the next topic.
I'm saying something after you stop talking.
We good.
You tried to Bruce Lee at first?
A little bit. At first, I was moving hear him, and I was like, hold on. But then it came through.
Indeed.
So you confused me on that. I didn't know if that was really.
There is a slight lag, but I'll leave out and come back in.
All right. So, as Eric is reconfiguring his situation over here, going to move into the wrestling topics here because Elimination Chamber is what, 2 weeks away at this point? Next Saturday. It is next Saturday. So next week we will of course preview the event, preview the card, make predictions and things of that sort. So my question tonight is not around like what do we think will win and things like that. This is more so a storyline driven conversation that I wanted to have when thinking about Elimination Chamber, who's in the men's, who's in the women's, and who winning the Elimination Chamber would just make the best storyline. So I just wanted to have a conversation about that. Not making no official predictions, but just saying if this person wins the Elimination Chamber, they will have the best storyline against the defending champion. So let's start with the men's. And that Elimination Chamber match this year is going to be CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre versus Logan Paul versus Damian Priest versus Seth Rollins versus John Cena. Of those 6 men, which one of them do you think would have the best storyline as the winner of the chamber to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania?
John Cena.
I was gonna ask, like, should we kind of go through like each guy's case, or do you just want like the one person?
If you want to think out loud through some of them, like your top guys, that's cool. Yeah.
I guess like off top, I can kind of eliminate Paul and Priest because like Paul, that would just be get as many eyes as possible on WWE, which I mean I guess is a legit motivating factor, but also like I don't think storyline wise that does anything for anybody. Yeah. Priest he was world champion. He had a great year. I feel like he kind of lost whatever momentum he had, so I'm good there. Drew McIntyre, storyline wise, he kind of got his WrestleMania moment last year. Like, I guess you could say that there's redemption for that because he wants to be champ again, but I don't know. Like, I don't see it there. So, like, for me, it's kind of like it's Punk, it's Rollins, it's Cena. Rollins seems to be on a collision course with Roman Reigns. Yep. But if you want to have a storyline thing, it's kind of like, hey, you know, I sacrificed my knee and my own championship to make you the champion last year. Now I'm coming back and I want it in blood, essentially, which can be entertaining. Punk never WrestleMania. He has the AEW connection. It's Punk, so like, you know, that writes itself. Like the promo should be good. If they're ready to turn Punk heel, like I think they can do some real, or Cody for that matter, I think they can do some really interesting things character wise. And then Cena is like his, you know, his drive for 17, and it seems to be like that's what his year is kind of going to be built around. 17 or 18, whichever one wherever he's trying to get to.
It's 17. And to your point about Logan Paul being good, like to bring eyes to it, I think storyline wise too, the Cena story you can tell with Cody versus Cena at WrestleMania 1, the poster already itself, like that's gonna draw people in of itself. And I think that chase for 17 is going to be Cena's story throughout the year. And I don't think he'll win at WrestleMania if he does win the chamber match. I think he has to continue the chase. But here's something I've been thinking about. I saw this and I was like, now it's kind of embedded in my brain. Because of the way that Cena got himself into this match, which was losing the Rumble and then saying, I'm pulling rank. And because I am who I am, I'm putting myself in this chamber match. And everybody else had to go through qualifying matches to get there. I wonder if for Cena's last year in the WWE, if we get a little heel Cena out the door. If this is the slow build of him, using his pop, kind of being what everybody has said that Cena is for years of like
and leaning into it.
Lean into it. Make like you were always a face this whole time throughout your. It was so important to you for all the Cena babies. They're grown now. They are grown. I think Cena Cody is probably the best storyline that can come out of the chamber.
Just to continue Cena's and enhance Cody's legacy, but more so the Cena story.
That it would enhance both stories, even going into because one, it's going to be a part of you thinking like, well, I said Cena not going to win, but like, could he win? It's going to be there because it's John Cena in WrestleMania. It's enough believability that he can beat Cody there. But also, if this could further a heel Cena run, I'm with it. Shell said, "Please not Cena." He ain't trying to see it, but man, I'm telling you, I think that can be blockbuster. And I think too, with Punk being in the chamber with Drew and Seth, and knowing they all got their own little form of beef amongst each other, they'll probably cancel each other out in some way.
And I'm almost guaranteeing that we'll see Roman like kind of pop his head in. So honestly, like that, I don't like Fatal 4-Ways, but like that's one where I could really get on board. Where it's those three that you named plus Roman, like they all have like intermingling beef, and
that would be nice.
There are layers on layers on layers. Like that might be your night one main event if that were to be like the match. And then whoever Cody fights if it's Cena, would be night 2.
I wouldn't be mad at that.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's the Cena story, probably the best one coming out of this. Everybody else is like intriguing, either matchups, or I don't think I really seen this like that. Maybe we can try that, but like legitimate story behind it. Rather, it's to Camille's point, a heel turn slowly, or if it's the chase for 17, or hell, if it's just to dethrone Cody because it's John Cena. Like Cena has a couple of different variables that he can play with, and they can play with going into this WrestleMania match. Like you said, even without him winning it, everybody else kind of like on the fly. To be fair, because he ain't really interacted with none of the other guys like that. He been spending most of his time with Roman and Kevin Owens.
He did have the promo with Punk, I think the last Raw of last year, where he was kind of like, I'm coming for you, essentially. And like I think last year before the Rumble, he kind of had the thing where they were talking about like Dusty, and like they had a whole thing. And he's like, back in the day, like I hated it when part-timers would come in and take my spot at WrestleMania, and sorry, bro, but I'm here to do the same thing to you.
Right.
So like I think they can get there with Punk, if that's the direction that they decide to go. But I think those are the two. Like Cena is one with the bullet, but like 2 is Punk, and then everybody else is kind of like well below that.
I'd agree with that. What about the women's side? So Riri. What?
Sorry. It sounds like you guys kind of already answered it, but like if it is Cena Cody, you guys see Cena kind of being the one to kind of lean into his heelness a little bit more. And I would that like even if it isn't a full heel turn, like somebody kind of has to play like the antagonist, and I think Cena can do that.
I think he can, because you can draw on like what you said of him now being the part-timer who's coming back, and there are so many different angles he can take with that. And Cena has shown his acting chops in various projects to this point, where I think that him dialing back like the I'm so excited and going into pretty much his version of the final boss, the final form of Cena on his way out the door, and then when he finally gets to that championship, you can figure out a way to turn him again before he loses it on his way out the door. Like, you could have a lot of fun with John Cena being here for a full year if you really.
I would say if not, do this opposite side of the coin. He'd be Super Cena, really like becoming retro Cena, so to speak. Try to be face of the company Cena on his way out the door. You see the highs of John Cena conquering the biggest bad guys and the biggest faces. Like, you can see either side of it. Honestly, I could truly like. I'm a big Cena fan, so like whatever we doing, John, we here for it.
Well, I was gonna say, like, Super Cena was one of the biggest heels that WWE has ever had. So like, if
he just been building that. Okay, the women's side of things. So Rhea Ripley is the champion that the winner of the Elimination Chamber will face the 6 women in the chamber: Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Naomi, and Roxanne Perez. So maybe we start this one as we did with the men's, of like taking out the least interesting people first and then having a debate amongst the top people, because off top, Roxanne Perez, she can wrestle.
Mm-hmm.
The storyline wise, that ain't the one for me.
Yeah, especially with her coming up, it seems like still as her heel character, like, and Rhea being a face, like the only way you could kind of make that work is if it was like the ultimate underdog and going up against like the unstoppable.
She's done this.
It's neither one of them are playing those roles. So I'm thinking because of her size, because she's coming from NXT, like that would be the story if they were to have those two go up against each other. But because of where they are in their character development, like
it don't make sense to do it.
It don't make sense. Naomi, Lover, Legend.
You said who?
Naomi.
I think Naomi and Bianca, because they're tag team partners, I don't think either of them wins it. And with Liv, you said, I was gonna say, and with Liv being in there, and them thinking that Liv had something to do with Jade Cargill's injury, I don't know if Liv makes it while the both of them are in there either.
See, like I can see that being the red herring though, where they're trying to put the spotlight on Liv and Raquel, but in actuality, Bianca or Naomi. Like, I think Jade is going to factor into whatever they're doing at Mania, but it might be because you're like, hey, actually, this pushed me, and like she did it, and now I'm back for blood, or like you guys conspired against me to kind of push me out, and or then it's three-way. Like, I think that whatever they're doing at Mania, she factors into, which doesn't leave too much room for the women's championship.
Naomi came out like, I told y'all it wasn't me, and I'm like, I kept saying it was Naomi to start. Maybe we get the Bianca Belair heel turn and we find out it wasn't Naomi all this time, but it was I don't know how they play that one, but like I don't see the storyline with Rhea for any of those I mean, Liv and Rhea, we've seen that so many times already, where it's like I don't want to see it again at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
I'm good. We can take a break.
They've been beefing for a year. Like, I think it's time for both of them to kind of get some space from each other.
Like, I'm good. So then you're looking like Alexa Bliss or Bayley as one of those people to go against Rhea, and I'm like, what's the storyline?
I mean, Alexa was the main event before she left, or she got herself to the point to, especially with the Sister Abigail persona and everything like that, as like a serious threat before she left for a minute. So her coming back alone puts another person at the top of the card. So I can see her kind of, because I think she's been doing the Sister Abigail still, kind of like not necessarily leaning into the persona, but still kind of hinting at that persona still being available. So her kind of looks like leaning into that. On coming back, I can see Alexa Bliss. Well, again, she was always at the top of the card anyways for a while. So her being up there wouldn't be out the norm as far as that same kind of concept with Bailey, like always at the top of the card. So it wouldn't be
like
something that's not out the norm.
Like the skill level, but like storyline wise, where do you go?
I can see Roxanne.
Really?
I can see. I mean, because think of, like, again, outside of Bailey and Alexa being these vets, they've been at the top, so we have to build a story now with them because Rhea and Bailey ain't really interacting like that. Alexa just came back, so they have to build one with them. Liv will probably have her hands full with Bianca them, like, and vice versa. So Roxanne, who is not new to a random push, oh damn, she came out of nowhere and then she took the belt. Same thing happened with her in NXT. She's the underdog coming up through that route too. You build a new star on the way to WrestleMania because it could have been Lyra, but they decided to go with Roxanne instead. Build her all the way up to the Mania point to where you're like, oh, can the underdog actually beat? And then you got a David and Goliath thing going on again because the other four, they all kind of seem occupied to be. What if they
do just? But even outside of the occupation, it's like, what makes the best story? So not even thinking about that piece of it, but like, what's the best story? And I'm trying to think of the poster. Does Rhea and Liv sell again?
They could. Depending on who they
add. Again, like both of these chamber matches kind of highlights the embarrassment of riches that they're kind of working with at the moment. Because even though we've kind of like been kind of like cutting people off, like all of them kind of have like a path to get there, except for maybe Bailey. Like I just don't know.
Bailey feels like she's just kind of
like they feel like they're kind of like, we're main eventers, so we have to be in this match, but our time is kind of come and gone, and we're just here as filler. But there are so many different directions, and it's kind of like you kind of have to, like, there are permutations essentially where it's like, okay, well, if you take Liv out of this match, then you don't have like a women's title match. But if you take Bianca out, it's the same thing. And if you do Alexa Bliss, like they've been teasing kind of like the Wyatt Six stuff, like during her matches. Because I don't know if you noticed, but like they do like the little screen kind of stuff. So like clearly she's doing something with the Wyatts, but is that like the Wyatts are kind of gonna come back as like heels and target Rhea, and like she's kind of like the leader of that or something? Like I don't know. Like it could be, but I guess what we're explaining and kind of coming to collectively is kind of like there are directions that they can go, and most of them are pretty good. So like I'm kind of good with whatever direction they come out of this, because like, oh, this should be interesting at least, or they can get somewhere interesting. I
think the women's match has more routes you could take to get to a good storyline than the men's, as strange as that might sound, given how when we went through, like, oh, they had their beef here and then go this way, but like, what if it, like, because I could even see, like, outside the tag things, I was like, maybe if Naomi and Bianca are both in there, I don't see one of them winning, but like that out the window and just thinking storyline, Bianca Rhea,
that's the
would
money
be quite a match. I don't know how they continue that build, but like thinking of the end result that it's Rhea Ripley against Bianca Belair for the title, that's a poster.
That's because like once I actually like just started looking at the names, and I was kind of like, as we were eliminating people, I'm like, the poster, the money match is Bianca. But how do you get Bianca out of the story that she's currently in?
Right. Unless it was Naomi all this time. It was Naomi all along, not Agatha. It was Naomi all along. And then that's
they kind of split off.
You have at WrestleMania.
But then what do you do with Liv and Raquel? I guess like have them take the titles off of Bianca and Naomi.
Oh, well, yeah, ahead of WrestleMania. And then have them defend them at the show. Yeah.
Or Bianca and Jay get their belts back at Mania.
Well, if Bianca's in the main event against Rhea, how can she do that? It's
but that's with us removing Bianca from Jade altogether.
Yeah, that's what we're saying though. It's like if you were trying to get Bianca into the main event, you have to do something with the Jade storyline and something with the tag titles.
So you're saying take Jade and have her chase Naomi around as opposed to Bianca.
And Naomi and Bianca drop the tag titles to Liv and Raquel.
Gotcha.
So then Bianca's free, and then she can do the main event with Rhea, and then Naomi and Jay can be in the program, and then Liv and Raquel can have a title match against 2 others on the roster. That makes some sense. That makes some sense. Okay. It'll be interesting. Like I said, next week we'll actually break down, give our predictions of who we think will win. This week was more so about what's the most enticing storyline that we think can come out of those 2 chamber matches. So I believe we have one more wrestling topic, and then we'll hit the road.
It's pretty quick. So the last couple of weeks they've been teasing, like Dom wants to bring in another member of Judgment Day, and Finn is like, no more new members. Just makes me think like we're definitely getting a new member and fans getting kicked out. But I was trying to think like who is there even to add to Judgment Day at this point? Like I will say one of the caveats is not even a caveat, but just like one thing to monitor is apparently Miro / Rusev and
Malachi Black.
Malachi Black are
That's my pick.
done with AEW. So like those are 2 names to consider. But between those 2 and people currently on the roster, like who makes the most sense to kind of come into that group at this point?
Malachi Black. That's what I was like for this to have picked up around the exact same time that his contract ended. I was like, he fits right in. The aesthetic is right there already. Finn is supposed to be the leader. Or Liv is supposed to be the leader, or Dom's supposed to be the leader. Like they keep flip flopping, like they don't know who. But Malachi ain't coming on that shit.
That there is no leader in the Judgment Day. We're all
true, but we know that was a lie. Come on now.
Yeah, because it was a lie.
We all know Rhea was.
How long is JD out? Do we know how long he's going to be out?
Oh, he was out for months. Was it weeks?
I think it was like 4 to 6 weeks. So
I thought didn't he fracture a rib? He didn't have a punctured lung or some shit like that.
Lung, yeah.
And only 6 weeks.
I mean, football players do it. They be playing like 2 weeks later. So
I think someone who could be a fit, but also is kind of like not a fit, Karrion Kross, because he lost his partners. His partners got cut. He out here by him. Tim ain't trying to hear it. He out here by himself now. But like,
I'm done with dude.
I'm kind of into him. Like not for Judgment Day, but like him on his own, like doing the whole devil's advocate kind of thing, where he's kind of like leading people down the path of temptation. Like I kind of dig it. I mean, like some of the stuff is kind of, corny, but like
that's him. That's all.
Like he can talk. He's interesting. Like they're making like his actions have consequences. Like he's why we have like heel New Day. He's why the Miz turned on our truth. Like he's actually like an inciting agent in like
the dark Jiminy Cricket.
I'm kind of feeling it. What did you say?
He's the dark Jiminy Cricket.
Sure. But I dig it. Like and they're not having him wrestle anymore, which was always kind of like his weakest part. So walking around like starting fires everywhere, like
you got the entrance, you got the girl.
I mean, unless there's someone on NXT that they could also be like, we're gonna call
Williams in Judgment Day.
No.
Mm-mm.
And then Oba Femi may just get the belt.
Yeah.
No, it is not about to be Trick.
No, not for Judgment Day, but I do think he's gonna be called up like after Mania. But
yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it's so interesting that they're so against it too. Of like, absolutely not. We don't want nobody at all joining this.
I will begin to Judgment Day. I will win the belt. I'm gonna get us back. I'm gonna put these motherfuckers on my back. Finn, watch out, bro. It's like, all right.
What if it was somebody random like Logan Paul?
Why?
Because Logan Paul's been wanting to team up with Dom. He said they could be the most hated tag team in the business.
They would be.
They would.
They really would.
Easily.
They would be.
Hated so much I turned the TV off.
But like that sounds like the 2 different types of heels. Like you have the heels that you actually just don't want to watch, and like whereas like Dom is kind of like the heel where it's like you're doing a really good job at this. Like I appreciate what you're doing, but I'm a boo because I'm supposed to boo. Kind of like Heyman for all these years, where it's like
you're doing a good job of pissing me off.
Yeah, you're saying terrible things, and I know you're the bad guy in this story, and you're so compelling in doing it.
I hate that you're so good at being
right. Evil.
Damn.
But I mean, it's some fun stuff here. I didn't watch NXT Vengeance Day yet, and apparently there's like a new Shield that just debuted on NXT. I need to go look more into that because I saw the clips.
You know who I kind of wish had been the Rhea Ripley's opponent at Mania? Jordan Grace. Like, she just debuted on NXT. But like that would be a good match.
Yeah, because she can go.
Yeah,
she can really wrestle.
That's probably next year.
Could be. They're gonna have a nice crop of superstars.
Dude, they got some talent.
Yeah, they're really gonna like fill out like because right now it feels like the women's mid card is kind of thin.
They're establishing it.
Yeah, but like they have so many women coming up from NXT. Like I think that's gonna fill out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think so. But
and if they use the belts to elevate like they used to in the past, where you get the US title, you get the IC title, next step is the big belt, then this should be fun, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like they've done a good job of establishing like the women's North American title or whatever. Like
USA, yeah. Chelsea Green. I know. I every time I can talk about Chelsea Green, I will. Piper Niven's being her Secret Service cracks me up every time, and the fact that Chelsea Green put out an official letter on her U.S. stationery after she got a wedgie from Bianca, talking about how that is not acceptable anymore. She's just good at her job. We're talking about like people she is good at her job. And Piper Niven and her have leaned all the way in, and Piper coming out putting her fingers to her ear like she listens. It's all well done.
I think she talked about like building her cabinet or whatever. They need to bring back the Iconics to like be her little.
Dog, that would be hilarious. That would be gold.
I don't know.
Them with Piper. Oh my god.
Listen, man, there can be some storyline gold here.
I could
have building her cabinet out. But yeah, like I said, the actual Elimination Chamber event is next Saturday. So next week's show we'll do a proper preview, but just a little idea of kind of floating some storyline stuff around this weekend. That'll be the show for this week. So we hope you all enjoyed it. As a reminder, make sure you follow us on our various social media platforms at Technical File, TECKNICALFOUL on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. Technical File Podcast on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you to everybody who stopped by live this week. Appreciate the comments. Make sure y'all like up the video, drop comments after the live is over. Even if you listened on the audio version, just come over, drop a comment. It helps the algorithm, helps people find us, and we need all that love. So please do that. And if you want to follow me personally on social media, you can catch me.
Wait a minute.
On the Twitter, the Instagram, and the Blue Sky at Camille Monet, CAMILLEMONAE.
At the Eric J2 on the bluest of skies.
And that's all you get.
That's all you get.
And it's your boy. Oh, yeah.
216.
He ain't here.
On... Golly, this is
everything but Instagram.
There you go. And then everyday _gentleman everywhere else.
That's a nice way to put it. And it's your boy TIMKINZ, the number 3, aka Ass Ketchum, aka Mr. Give It To Me. You guys have a swell day and a fantabulous night.
Not a swell day.
Tech file.
Right.
Yeah, let's just play that music.
Sure.
Hit him hard, let's go. TECK, running back like where's my replay? Got it all in the mix, no DJs. Said it's hard in the game like eat them miscellaneous. Spitting real talk for the entertainment. All the pods I steady game up and they get smacked back down like a WrestleMania. Tell them a little bit because they know ready at a home city. And get it block even on the low setting. And you know we keep saying so we never gotta get tight than everybody else. They should get ready. Ain't nobody else doing this like I. Better keep them cameras and microphones hot cause this one's a vibe. Gotta run this race with my tribe. Going live with the pie. Do it like there's no tomorrow. Came to my ear later. Shout out to my point guard. We about to hit them hard.